Okay, we're back. So I have this idea that maybe we should start to think in terms of individual theses and what it would take in order to do a PowerPoint presentation. How many slides should we have for our next PowerPoint presentation? 10? Is that good? Is 10 good for everyone? I don't think it should be more than 10. It should probably be less. So 10 is the max, absolute max. And if you came in and you did only 3, that would be okay. Okay with me. How long should the presentation be? No longer than 20 minutes. So let's think about this. If everybody in the class did a 20-minute presentation, how long would that take? Probably
2 weeks.
Yeah, this would take forever. I got 30 people times 20 minutes. Let's see now.
400 minutes. Closer to 5 minutes.
600 minutes. So 600 minutes. How long is that now?
Almost 10 hours.
It's 10 hours. 10 hours. That sounds like a lot. I don't think I could. I don't think I could run a class for 10 hours listening to you guys, or even having you listen to each other. So 5 minutes. So 5 minutes. If I had everyone do a 5-minute presentation with 10 slides, you'd be doing one slide every 30 seconds. Isn't that right? That's fast. So maybe you can't really do one slide every 30 seconds. Maybe this whole presentation should take no more than 5 slides. Actually, probably 3 slides, now that I think about it. Can you do a presentation in 3 slides at 5 minutes?
Explain what the project is.
Yeah, I think so. It's gonna be very compact. It's gonna have to be. You'll probably take more than 5 minutes doing it, but that's all right. I have a feeling that what we'll do is we'll have some people will do this distance learning, so they won't be here. They'll record their presentation with audio. Do people know how to do that? You've been watching me do it. I use Cam Studio Recorder, but it makes a very big file. If you do something like that, then you need to upload it to some place like YouTube or Vimeo. I use Vimeo. Vimeo will work, actually. Cam Studio Recorder outputs an AVI file, and the AVI file can be uploaded. And you've seen me do that, right? Here, I just uploaded an hour and 10 minutes worth of video. And now if it says go to the video, it takes time, right? The conversion underway message is very common for me. And after it's done, I get an email. So it takes hours sometimes to do this conversion, especially for long videos. It can take a long time. If you don't have a professional account, and probably none of you do, that means you're not paying for it. I bet nobody here pays for it except me. They give you lower priority. So then it takes even longer to do the conversion. It won't take a week. But here he says it's going to take another 20 minutes or 16 minutes. So he's taking his time with that conversion, even though I pay for it. And I'll have to do the same thing again for the presentation I'm doing for you now. There's another thing you can do in PowerPoint. I think you can record narrative. So you can insert a audio. You can insert audio. So that's another way to go. If you insert audio into your PowerPoints, then that might be sufficient. I can't do that for my distance learning courses because I don't just do PowerPoint. I also use computers to do programming. And if I want to record my programming sessions, then I can't use PowerPoint for that, right? Because I want to type and I want to show what it's like to run programs. So that's a very different application. How else could you do this? There must be other screen capture programs available in Windows, right? So Camtasia, one of them. You can use that. Or there's another one called Jing. I use Jing sometimes. You may find that Cam Studio and Vimeo are not appropriate. It doesn't matter to me what you use if you're going to do this distance learning. On the other hand, if you're coming into the classroom, which I think is better, then you'll have your own colleagues in front of you and you'll have that experience of doing a presentation, which I think is a very important educational experience. I think you should be able to present in front of people. And I do not think that if you sit in your room all by yourself with your little microphone, you will have an effective presentation. I myself cannot do that. I need an audience to do these kinds of presentations, or my presentations are terrible. I mean, even worse than this. Really bad. So, use a sans serif font. And now it's your turn. Let's see if we can change the font. I think we already learned how to do that, right? Mouse, highlight the sentence. Mouse right. Format the shape. Oh, there it was. And now what we'll do is we'll pick a font. Let's try, yeah, here's the different fonts. And you can see as I highlight them, you can see what they look like. Some of them are pretty hard to read. Let's try, what was the one you mentioned? Times, was it?
Yeah,
Times New Roman. So here's Times New Roman. That is a serif font. Now, can we make it a little larger? 48-point font. And then what we'll do is, let's see if we can see the difference. Whoops. Yeah. So there's a little flourish going on at the bottom here. You see this little N? It's got little feet. Whereas if you look over here and you look at the end does not have feet. Let's see if I can see. You see this S? It's got little flourishes at the edge. Where you see this S? There's no little flourishes over at the edge. So these little flourishes in here, these are the serifs. And because this lacks those flourishes, it's a sans serif font for the title. So it's a little subtle, but it's one of those things that you should know the difference of if you're going to do font selection. We tried the design templates, right? And you could see some were blue with black in the foreground, and I decided I liked a simple one. I think simple is a feature. You guys will have to decide on that. And let's see what else we can do. There were 12 pre-designed slide formats. We tried the different ones. Let's see if we can do one. It says to examine the 12 formats, go to Insert, New Slide, and select a design. So let's try that. New slide, and now we'll try and select a design. Design, and This is a test. Test, test, test. Click on it. Pick a different design. Yeah, it's kind of looking wacky. So we've seen a few different designs. What else can I do here? Can I move the... Yeah, I can move the bubble. The page number can move. That's nice. Can I insert anything in here? Insert. What's smart art? Relationships. Look at this. I think they might even have taxonomies in here. Gotta go the other way. Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. Now, if I drag this around, will it stick? No. See, it's not letting me change the layout. But it's looking really nice. So now you tell me, is this serif or sans serif? Sans serif. Right? Does it look readable? Simple? Easy enough to read in the back? Easy to read, actually. Some people find mixed case is easier to read than just uppercase. This is just uppercase. If I changed it to mixed case, would it be easier to read? I think it would be. Would it be easy to do? I don't see why not. Oh, it's not letting me do it. It seems like I'm dealing with a character style that's uppercase only. Where would that be changed, I wonder? Under format somewhere. Oh, here's format. You know, you can have bold format, italic format. Here's a shadow effect. I really don't know how you get to the character format. Does anybody here know how to do that? It seems like this should be something we should know how to do. But every time I try and use PowerPoint, the interface changes. And so, there it is. Wow, that looks nice. That's mixed case. Let's make it black. There. Now it looks a little out of focus to me. Does it look out of focus to you? A little bit? Why is that, I wonder? Do you know why? It's anti-aliasing. The anti-aliasing is designed to get rid of jaggies. Jaggies are digitization approximations that cause artifacts when you take a line and you approximate it with the staircased pixels. You want to get rid of those staircases, you run it through a low-pass filter. That causes the blurring. And that's essentially what they have done here. This is another reason you shouldn't be using fancy text. So when I think about PowerPoints, I think about my audience. And I think about what the audience will be doing when they see the PowerPoints. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to skim them. They're going to go through all the bullets and they're going to read ahead. And that's natural. And that's expected. So you can design your PowerPoints so that people can skim ahead. And maybe you can fill in the detail about the skimming. What do people do when they skim? Do they read carefully? No. That's okay, because if you only have a few bullets, you can emphasize the areas that you want them to skim. You can direct their focus of attention. You can direct, in a sense, their consciousness. And they can feel as though they have the illusion of control, but you're only showing them those things you want them to see. So don't show them a whole bunch of stuff you don't need them to see, just the important parts. So if there's a mission in your thesis, that comes up first. If there's a primary mission, that's the top. And then if there are secondary objectives, they go underneath. And then your strategy is later. That's your approach. So if you're trying to convince and convey through your PowerPoint communications, hopefully you'll be able to convince management to release resources for you to be able to take your project to the next level. Those resources will be the time, the effort, the capital equipment needed for you to move your project forward. Hopefully, people will see that there will be a likely return on the investment. Perhaps management will be very risk adverse, and they'll say, what about this and what about that? And they'll want to explore completely. And you may want to anticipate some of those questions. Somebody said to me, you know, they have this new idea they want to do for the business plan competition. I said, well, have you done a search for other patents to see if there are other patents already in force, patents that have been issued? No. I was like, well, you may not have the freedom to operate. That puts an unnecessary risk on your project. Why should anybody fund your project if you've never even done a proper patent search? So think ahead a little bit about some of the questions that people can ask. When I ask those questions, the guy says, oh, you're being a pain. No, other people will ask those questions. I'm being nice, because I'm asking now before you try and sell your product in front of people. So while I may seem like I'm being a pain, while it may seem like I'm being hard, I'm just asking the hard questions now because later you'll be prepared to answer them. So what do we do with the hierarchy when we do our presentations? You could use one slide to do a total overview. Tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them. Big legible fonts. 30 point. That's your minimum. I like bullets, bullet points. I like very short phrases. I like grammatical parallelism. Like when I say I like. What do I like? Short bullets, short phrases. What do I like? Bullets, phrases, parallelism. Things I like. I could, in fact, reorganize the slide right now. What's wrong with it? Well, the font's too small. I'll tell you that right now. So let's go out to 48 point font. Too many words. Oops. Where'd it go? Things I like. I like. Bullets, short phrases, and parallelism. And what's wrong with this title? Font's too small. Oh, you can do it up here. So if that's 48, why don't we make this 72? What does the number 72 represent? Huh? Font size. Yeah. So in what dimension? Right. What are the units? 72 what? Is it 72 miles? 72 meters? 72 millimeters? 72 centimeters? 72 nanometers? What could it be? You guys come from a metric world, so it's totally alien to you. It's 72 points per inch. That's a pica. That's a point. So 1 point is 1/72 of an inch. And 72-point fonts have an M. This is called an M, right? Which is exactly 1 inch tall. In English, it's spelt out in this way, EM. That's a proper Scrabble word. You can get points for that because it's in the dictionary. So when you look up EM, what it refers to is the typographic uppercase letter M. And the size of the uppercase letter M is the maximum size for a rectangle for all fonts with no descender. Right? What's a descender? Have you never heard of a descender? See this? That's an uppercase G, but it's possible to make a lowercase g, and a lowercase g has a descender. The P in parallelism has a descender. It goes below the baseline. Right? So the M has no descender, but the G does. All right, it goes below the baseline of the M. So the M represents the rectangle for all font characters without a descender. And the M in a 72-point font will be exactly 1 inch tall. And in case you don't know, that represents 25.4 millimeters, or 2.54 centimeters. But the font term and its basic size is common in English. It's an English measure, like from the days of Charlemagne, when people had the king's foot, right? And they used that to measure everything. We still do that here in the United States, even though everyone promised we would be going metric decades ago. We never did, because we're Americans. And when scientists try and land Voyager they try and land the Sojourner, right? They try and land it, and what happens? It crashes because somebody is in metric and someone else is in English. And they couldn't figure out that this was wrong. And you know that computers don't know, right? Because the sign of radians is a float going in and a float coming out, and the sign of degrees is a float going in and a float going out. It's syntactically correct and semantically incorrect to pass degrees in for radians, but if somebody says, hey, I like degrees, and they do all the conversions, you'll get it to compile. It'll just give you the wrong answer. Very typical. So these bullets, what's wrong with these bullets? Too small. Way too small. Much too small. I would say make the whole thing 48. Okay? Much better. And this thing over here, 72. 1 inch. Much better. Now, is it going to be an inch if I project it? Right? Is that an inch?
No.
No. That's 3 inches. That's more like right. So we have a different pitch when we project these things than we have on the screen. My screen might be adjusted in terms of the number of points I can get per inch. It used to be the original Mac Plus would give you 72 points per inch on a 9-inch screen. That was the resolution. Now people typically use 92 points per inch or better depending on their resolution. But when you're projecting onto the overhead here, now my 72-point font is giving me, I think it's 6 inches tall. So multiplying, now it's multiplying by 6. It's big. But that's all right. Oh, let's see if we can do this. Oh no, it started from the beginning. This is terrible. Wait. Ah. I've got to go and skim through this now. Skimming. Oh. So we did all of this. We got up to here, and here's the bullets. So, how do you change to a bulleted outline? It has a button. Where's the button? Oh yeah, there it is. It's a button. There's the bullets. I can number it. I can use Roman numerals. I can have, oh look, clovers. You could use a bulleted taxonomy, yes. Set headings and subheadings. So now we've got our little bullets. Let's see now. Alright, your turn. Let's see. To use bullets, type a phrase and hit return. First of all, I find this font a little bit small. Why don't we make it more like 32? Ah, so now what do we do? Could drag it around, I suppose. And this needs to be larger too. Can make that 72. It's huge. Well, it's your turn. And then resize. I guess that'll get it to fit. Or not. There we are. Ah, I'm having troubles. There. So what's wrong with the bullets now? Wordy. Wordy. Type a phrase, hit return. How about this? Hit return. Now it says hit tab. So type a phrase, blah, blah, blah. Hit tab. Blah, blah, blah. That doesn't help. What if we hit return and then hit tab? Ah! So now we have a nested bullet. Now what happens if you want to go back? It's shift tab. So if you do a tab, it indents. If you do a shift tab, it undents. indent, 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 testing, 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 and now we'll do Shift-Tab, undent, undent. Huh. Undent? It's undented. Let's see now. Oh no, it's too small. Oh no, what should we do? Now here's an interesting point. I've been going through every single one of these slides and changing the font size. Is that efficient? No, it's terrible. There should have been a proper template that was applied, but in fact I had been playing around with the template, so I probably undid some of the formatting that I had done already. Once you do your formatting, don't be changing your templates. That's my mistake. Now he says go to Format and then Bullet. So if I go in through here, here's bullets, and now you can go and try the different bullets. Color, style, size. I think there's too much choice. Here's another size. So now I'm changing bullet styles with every single bullet. How exciting. And here's another bullet size. Let's try this one. I got check mark. There. So how annoying is that? I got a clover and a solid square and an open square and a check mark. I'm suffering from a disease. I call it bulletitis. Shoot me now with one of these bullets. If you do this, I'm taking off points. Right? This is something you can do in your dorm room. Don't show me. I don't need to see all the different bullets you've tried. It's not correct. Fun, but not correct. Don't do that in public, like I just did. So now what? I'm doing this whole thing, and I feel like I have to format all the rest of my slides now. I'm on slide 23. How can I format all the rest of my slides? Yeah, just the rest, not the prior ones.
Yeah, just the ones you want.
Hold the Shift key down, take your elevator to the back, click on the last one, and now mouse right and format. Let's see now. We can use, oh, he's not letting me do it. I've got to go and hit the design area. Now it's all right. How about these visuals? What shall we do about visuals? Have you ever tried like JDraw? I think this might even have a web start version, but if it doesn't, it's got a jar, which is fine. It should download, hopefully while we're young. Keep. And let's try showing that in the folder, and open. And nothing happens. Oh, yeah, it's working. So here's a drawing program you can use, and it's free. And let's see if we can do something with it. Yeah. So now you can use this for your little drawings if you like. Let's see if we can do another one. New. Use changes. So this will let you draw with bitmaps. You guys know the difference between a bitmap and a vector? The bitmaps look like jaggies when you print them. So that paint program you used, Mike, that's going to look kind of crummy when you print it out on a laser printer. The vectors, which is what I was using before with PowerPoint, will look a lot nicer. You'll have clean lines. The vectors will come out at the resolution of the printer. So if the printer is an image setter with 2,540 dots per inch, then that will give you a proper line. And by the way, 2,540 dots per inch is 100 lines per millimeter. And 100 lines per millimeter is considered a very good resolution for an image setter. That's typical. Let's see if we can, there we go. That's pretty cool. That's an animation. If you do too many of these animations, it becomes a little distracting. But a lot of people like these sorts of things. What kind of visuals are you going to have for your presentation? Google Images?
Yeah.
How about your taxonomy that you worked so hard on? Or got wrong? How about the Gantt chart? Gantt chart's a good one. How about maybe a sample chart of your data? That'd be all right. What else? No one's doing any image processing, so I wouldn't expect that. What about computer graphics?
Yeah, non-hierarchy.
You could do your little hierarchy if you have a hierarchy. That's the taxonomy, though. Right?
Well, we said like the summary overview.
The overview, sure. I could probably do the whole thing with visuals.
Yeah.
I'm a very visual person. Should there be equations in your presentation?
Depends on the audience or this situation.
Nope. No equations. If there's something that you feel like you need to express mathematically, you can visualize it scientifically. So there's no reason why you can't just draw the curve. You don't need to show me the equation for the curve. And if it's a surface, you could draw the surface. That's sufficient. We can visualize quite a bit without having to actually show equations. And then if people are interested in the equations, you can always refer them to the paper where the equations will be. I'm tending toward clarity and simplicity in your presentations, as clear as it can be. I'm also a very visual person. So me personally, I don't think text is going to trump visuals. I'd rather have a presentation with visuals and no text than a whole bunch of text and no visuals. So if you're going to do the whole thing with visuals, that's fine with me. What about color? I would say if you need it, use it, otherwise leave it out. I like the idea of putting colors into things if they are showing me something. So if you said to me, well, the red means it's hot and the blue means it's cold, and I'm drawing a color map of how the temperature is changing across the surface, or even as a function of time, then color has meaning, and you should use it. But otherwise, no. Leave it out. So that's sort of gratuitous animation with a little audio. You don't need this. This is stupid. Maybe fun. Okay? It's just, I like this. Ooh, cool. Dumb. Gratuitous color and effects, you can leave that out. You know how to insert a picture into PowerPoint? You know that if it's a GIF animation, it will it will reside inside of the PowerPoint. But if it's an MPEG animation, it resides on the hard drive. The danger of having a separate file on the hard drive is that if the PowerPoint changes its absolute path name relative to the MPEG file that you've inserted, then you will have a broken link and the PowerPoint will display nothing. GIF animations, on the other hand, are not like that. GIF animations are contained as part of the PowerPoint. So if you're going to do an animation, it should probably be a GIF animation, unless you really know what you're doing. I don't know if you've ever tried this before. Insert picture. Now if you want, you can go and get yourself a GIF animation. I might actually have one. Floating around somewhere. Perhaps. Well, let's see if this looks like anything. Yeah, that's not a GIF animation. That's just an MRI. I'll try that one more time. We'll look for GIF. So we'll try start.gif. And that's all of these. Let's go into the data directory. J for P, data, images, GIFs, GIF animation. I don't know if this is a GIF animation. Maybe it is. Here it is, foo.gif. Let's try it. And if it is an animation, it should play. No, it didn't play. Okay, these colors are bad. Why? It's hard to see. The bottom one looks better than the top one. Why? Can you see the bottom? You can't see the top one. You can't see the top one. Now you can see it. Now you can see it. So why is it I can see the bottom one, but I can't see the top one? It's a contrast issue. I don't have to change the color to make this more visible. All I have to do is change the background. Right? If I take this and put it here, now it's clearly visible. Right? It's a question of contrast. Every time I get up, I get a shock. Everybody knows how to graph things in Excel, right? You can use that in your PowerPoints. You can cut and paste it straight in. I don't know if you've tried this or not. I assume you have. Do they teach you how to use Excel in school? Excel. Here's an Excel. Let's do this. Equals 1, and this will equal that plus 1. Whoops. Plus 1. There we go. Now if you take it and sort of drag it, and now I can do x squared, so this equals that times that. Now I can take it and just sort of drag it. And now in theory, I should be able to insert a graph. So here's a chart. We'll do a little line chart. Then what we'll do is copy it. And insert a little slide and paste it in. And there it is. My little chart. This is y equals x squared. And good enough. Got it? Easy enough to do. Could probably change the background a little bit, but I guess it's visible. How about this? This looks like the sugar cycle, right? I'm thinking, you know what they call it? It's the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle is the one that uses vitamin C in order to be able to feed the mitochondrial DNA. The mitochondria inside of the inside of the cell is a powerhouse which takes adenosine triphosphate and then the citric acid, which is the vitamin C, and allows it to release energy. It's an oxidation reaction. Could this be simplified? I think so. But it's got a lot of interesting stuff in it, doesn't it? In fact, if you think about it, you could probably talk about this for your entire presentation. One slide. I'll bet you this one slide could easily occupy you for 5 minutes. Easily. Because it's a complicated slide. But it also illustrates interesting principles, interesting cycles. And you could just go through and just say, you know, here's the overview. Here's what happens in the mitochondria. And this is how we take adenosine triphosphate and release power in the cell. And then you could go through the different terms and you could spell them out and tell people what they stand for. And I mean, I think that would be a really good slide. And then highlighting these areas to draw attention, that just sounds like a really good idea. Because then you could focus in on just the subsections of the picture that you're interested in. Animations. Have you guys tried using PowerPoint to make animations before? There's animations for transitions, and then there's animations inside of the PowerPoint. And I'm going to say that that's like an advanced PowerPoint thing, which I would not encourage you to do unless you're real comfortable doing it. You could waste a lot of time doing your animations. So here's an interesting idea. If we go to the slide with a couple of grouped items and go to slideshow and select animation and custom, let's see now, slideshow, let's see, animation, custom shows. I think I have to select two things. Just a minute, we'll select two things. Now we'll do a custom show. else can I do? I should be able to do a transition, right? Where would the transition be? I lost it. This is one of those things where they change the interface on me. You guys know how to do a transition? Oh, transitions. Thank you. Of course. Let's try a wipe. And then what we'll do is go in here and see if we can get that to work. So that was the wipe. Yep. Yeah. So the wipe is it's not just a wipe, it's a crossfade from one slide to the other. Let's try another one. Transitions. We'll do a see what the effect options are. From top right. We'll try that. And then we'll do animation your turn and see what happens when we go in from top right. So that was it. And then a crossfade. It's kind of fun. I find it sort of, I don't know, irrelevant. You can do it for aesthetics, but you don't need to do it, so I wouldn't bother with it. I hardly ever use transitions. I like the idea of looking at the audience. I like the idea of trying to see if they're following along. So that's part of delivery. Sometimes people like to talk with their hands. I don't see anything wrong with it. Sometimes people use a stick and they point at something. And if they start pointing wildly, I call it the gesticulator. Right, there's all over the place with a stick. I don't know if they have a stick here. A pointer is often used. I don't see a pointer. A yardstick would be just as good. Reading notes is bad. Doing scripts is bad. I wouldn't do either of those. Body language, I think people find it important. If you're using the body language, presumably you could gesture to something or other. I use a lot of inflection. I change pace, and it's okay to stop and think. You know, you don't have to feel like you just have to rattle off a bunch of stuff. And then there's the questions thing. I personally like it if people interrupt me when I present, because I don't think it's good to have questions just fester. And in this class, we don't raise our hands, right? You have a question, you just shout out, and that's fine. I think that in some classrooms, they want it formal. I don't find that as an appropriate thing for a small, intimate classroom like this. If you have a question, you should just shout it out. In fact, I think that's the benefit of coming to class, right? A big benefit, because if you just sit at home and watch me or listen to the PowerPoints like you're watching popcorn or something, maybe you're like you're watching a movie and eating popcorn, you're not paying attention and you're not asking questions. I find this class very quiet. Why don't you ask more questions? Is it shyness? Yes? No? You're not shy? You just don't have any questions. Because it's obvious. It's also obvious. I think asking questions of the audience is very important. You want to gauge the audience and see what it is they know. Sometimes I find it helps people to pay more attention. A lot of times questions are being motivated from personal interest. They care about what you're saying. That's why they ask the question. I think when I talk, you don't ask any questions because you just don't care. That's true, isn't it? If somebody asks a question, it's important to really listen. Active listening can sometimes mean rephrasing the question that was just asked to make sure you got it. So somebody says, how did you figure out what font? It's really good, especially in my case, because I got a microphone. People might not have heard you. Oh, the question is, how can we determine what the proper size should be? How do we determine the font? And it's particularly onerous if someone says 72-point font and you say, well, geez, 72-point font, that's supposed to mean it's 1 inch tall. But it's not 1 inch tall when you project it. It's 7 inches tall. So what happened, right? How do we know what font size means? Doesn't the font size change if I change the resolution of the screen? Yes, you betcha. Right? Why? Because here we are looking at a font, and it is, I'm going to guess, perhaps 3 inches tall on the screen. Now I'm going to go in and change the screen so that it goes from, let's say, 800 by 600 to 1024 by 768. It'll get smaller, for sure. And I can go to even higher resolution fonts if my projector can keep up, but I have no confidence that it can. So repeating or rephrasing, that's active listening. Body language of people. There's someone who's going like this. Oh, boy. Look at that. The class is almost over. Thank God. Soon the torture will be done. And the turbo class, an exercise in sitting, will be over. All this sitting is very bad for you. I had a friend who took an airplane ride from, I think it was New Mexico. They have a New Mexico? Did you know? And he took it all the way to Spain. And he got a clot in his leg. And it went into his lung. Very serious. Because he was sitting the whole time. It was a direct non-stop flight. He should have been getting up and walking around. But you guys, you never get up and walk around. You just sit there. You're so patient. Very bad. Bluff. If you don't know the answer, I think you have an ethical obligation, I know I do, to profess your ignorance. I don't know. Let me look into it. I'm not going to give you an answer off the top of my head because I just don't know, and that's the correct answer. So don't bluff your way through a question if you don't know the answer. Just say, I've never thought of that, or I just don't know the answer. Let me look into it. I'll get back to you. Practicing is so important when you do presentations. I've been doing them for 20 years. So if I make it look easy, it's because I have some experience, right? But for you, it will not be easy. And so for you to be a polished presenter, you're going to have to practice, and that's what this course is for. It's for you to get a little practice so that you can become a polished presenter, so that when you are in industry presenting your next big idea, they will be convinced and you will be able to get your resources so that you can have leadership in technology. So important if you want to move forward in your careers. And that is all I have. Oh, look at that. Worked out exactly right. So that's what I have for today. We want to create some sort of a an assignment. And I think you guys are going to have to do a proper PowerPoint submission with audio. But if you're going to come to class, I will record it so that you can have your PowerPoints with you. But the way I would like you to submit your PowerPoints is using Blackboard so that I can download them and have the presentation ready to go when you arrive. I don't want to have a whole bunch of USB keys. Right? In other words, submit your PowerPoints without audio if you plan to present here in class. If you don't plan to present here in class, submit your PowerPoints without the audio. We'll download the PowerPoint from Blackboard and you can do the presentation here in the classroom. So, I hope that's clear. Here's what I'm going to do to write that up. Let's make it into a proper assignment. What number are we up to now? 9, yes, 9. So it's homework 9, presentation, and so prepare and submit using Blackboard your PowerPoint presentation. If you plan to present in class, you do not need to include the audio. As we will record you in the classroom. Otherwise, please include the audio. I'm going to guess most people can easily talk for 10 minutes. So let's plan for minimum time 5 minutes, maximum time 10 minutes, and I'm saying 5 slides. Well-designed slides for your presentation. 30-point font minimum. Don't make tiny fonts. What else? Maximum? No maximum. You want to make 72-point font? I don't care. You don't have to use text at all. You can do the whole thing visually. That's fine with me. I'm very interested in seeing you do a presentation, so if you are able to come to class, please come. It's actually easier that way because then you don't have to record the audio. Are you going to write a script for your PowerPoints? No scripting. But think about what it is you want to say. Right? So this means that it's actually harder, believe it or not, to do a short PowerPoint presentation than it is to do a long one. Because you really have to think about what you're going to put in there. What else? Oh, I guess we have to establish a due date on this. It's 100 points. You might want to put in your taxonomy. Actually, we could make that as a suggestion. Suggestions. Visuals. Taxonomy. Charts, if you need them, etc. I don't know what visuals you'll like. If you don't need them, don't use them. Number of attempts. 1. Oh, allow a single attempt. And then, let's see now. Due date is next week, tax day, and it's 5 p.m. How many people have done their taxes already? Nobody? Oh, good. You're all procrastinators like me. Nobody did. Do international students have to do taxes? You know, no taxes. Oh. I think I can hit submit now, right? Submit. And that's it. Yeah, the tax man will get me if I don't do my taxes. So I have to. But you guys don't have to. What else? That's it, right? Yes, sir. It's Easter break next week? No class?
No. We have class, I won't be here.
You'd see, it's Passover.
Yeah, it's Passover, and then that Thursday, I think.
I probably shouldn't be here because it's Passover, but I'll be here. So,
Won't be able to. Oh, man.
bummer.
That means I have to correspond now.
Well, you can still submit with Blackboard. So,
Yeah.
so there it is.
That's a big help.
Thanks very much. Have a good evening.